great to be here tonight and to be able to share some thoughts with you, and these are very much thoughts. They are not rigor. They have not been through the full academic process. I don't apologise for that, because the essence of TED is to develop some thinking and to spur some thoughts, and hopefully you'll take some of this away with you and build off it, own it, possibly invent it much better than I can. So I was standing in a pub having a beer and wondering why I was paying so much for the beer, but then I realised my colleague was in the bar with me, and I was talking to him about a passion that I had for some time. In fact, in thinking about this passion, I realised that I've had it for rather too long a time, because it's been about 30 years now. So as a young marketing academic, I too fell in love with the essence of marketing and the fact that we were promised when we went to university that marketing would take over all areas, and we'd knock the CFOs off their perch and we'd run businesses in the future. And marketing had an incredible frontier ahead of it. So I was taking my colleague through a thought, a theory, a spark that might just reinvent marketing back to where it should have been, or where I believed it could be. And I took him through a scenario, and he stopped and he said, "John, you're absolutely correct. Perfect, it's brilliant. But it will never happen in my lifetime or yours." So I was a little bit worried about that, although I was feeling a little bit good about the fact that he acknowledged I was a little bit younger than him, so that gave me a little bit of confidence. But in having another sort of sip of my beer, I thought, well, I can't leave it there, you know, I'm wrestling with this. So I said to him, gee, yeah, I said, but you know, there was a scenario in the US called Enron that overnight changed the world of the accounting profession. So whilst I understand your point in terms of change takes a long time, all we really need is an Enron. And he finished his beer and he said, yeah, but if you can pull that off, don't worry about the vision for marketing. So I gave that and started to give that a little bit of thought. And my solution was, we've got to find a way to get shareholders to take a class action suit against the CEO for not being engaged enough in their marketing development, in their brand development of their company. Now, as a good marketer, that should not be too difficult. So I continued my pondering process, and I thought, how do you do that? How do you build the essence of marketing? And how do you give extra belief in the context of that marketing into the communication contribution that is made through that process? So I went thinking about CEOs, and I went to the absolute pinnacle point at which we all understand everybody wants to be at. How do I keep my job? How do CEOs keep their jobs? Well, there's the board, and I thought, well, they're not usually sacked by the board. The chairman has a quiet conversation. I thought, in the marketplace we operate in, the people who keep CEOs in jobs are the analysts. Analysts. I don't think marketers ever talk to analysts, do we? Don't quite know them. They live over there. So the analysts, I thought, analysts, what do these analysts do? I read about them and I hear about them. Well, they tell us to buy, sell, or hold stock, shares, the value in a company that we're all working for. And I thought, well, that's pretty powerful. So in essence, they're saying sack, keep, or get rid of the CEO with a buy, hold, or sell recommendation. Oh, that's quite interesting. Now, how do they do that? Because that's powerful. So if I could go to analysts and tell them the CEO isn't doing the right job and get CEO sacked, that would actually be quite an interesting connection. And it was interesting because marketing had never really taught me that at school. So in my investigation, in my journey, I started to look at what analysts were doing, And as we know, we have revenues and we have time. And all good CEOs tell their analysts that they've got great results and those results are going to continually be increasing. Nobody ever goes and says, we're in trouble. But analysts are quite smart. Well, they don't talk to marketers or the industry much, but they're quite smart because they have to do something with that data to be able to create reality. And what they do is, this is very simplified, they apply what is commonly known as a risk curve on that data. So they discount that information, they discount that data to create a realistic forecast of future earnings and market capitalization for the company. Now, interestingly, how do they work out that discount? How does that risk curve get calculated, I thought? How as a marketer could I influence that? And I realized that this risk curve is based on two criteria. Gap and cap. The degree of competitive differentiation at any point in time, my quarterly results, and the length of time of that competitive differentiation. That creates competitive advantage. So analysts are quite clever. Analysts are using marketing information and marketing thinking to create an expectation of the company's valuation. And I thought, wow. So in that context, if I'm actually engaged in short-term activity as a marketer, then what I'm likely to do is impact that short-term risk curve as such, gaining an increase in market capitalization, but possibly compromising my long-term brand strength. Now, if I'm changing that curve and continuing my activity over time, I'm increasing the length of the curve and the value of the business, capitalization, over a longer period of time. And I thought as a marketer, it's actually really simple. That's what we're trying to do. And I wondered why so much activity in today's world, in the last few years' world, has become so short-term focused. Is it because CEOs are hired to keep their jobs for a year, 2, 3, the shortening of that curve? Is it because there's not a marketing connectivity between the CEO's goals? How do we change that scenario? Do I have the clicker? Yes, I do. I have the clicker. So, key essence, building shareholder value. Interesting. In all my years as a marketer and all my years as a communications person, never has a CEO come to the agency and said, this is really important what we're doing. We're briefing you not to create a new campaign because we have a budget this year. We're briefing you to build the value of our corporation. That would be a great dialogue to have. Not delegated down to marketing to be executed, but elevated to the CEO's office to be about the worth of the business that he's trying to build, in which he needs a partnership to do that. So my thinking continued. And I jumped, not quite to a guitar, but I jumped to the thought of how is this extension of the curve achieved? And what is the difference between short-term and long-term? And then some of the research facts came out that said 95% of all of our decisions are made on an emotional basis. And I thought, oh, so if I'm advertising a sale at the moment and I'm 70% off, 70% off, 70% off, I'm doing a lot more short-term retail efforts and activity, but I'm not selling anymore because somebody else is 90% off online. But I'm still screaming out those messages short term. And what is that doing to the long-term value of the company? So we're not going about this process in the right way within the company to build capitalization of the business. Now, don't take my word for it. This is an IPA published data. This is scientific, it's published. And this shows the difference of emotional versus rational communications and their likely impact on a number of key factors that influence success or sales in a brand. You can see from awareness, fame, differentiation, commitment, image, quality and trust are all impacted positively in terms of their impact on the work that's produced and the resulting sales that occur. I'm kind of a bit data guy and I'm kind of a bit emotional guy, so I sort of thought, well, that's nice in terms of the numbers, but we see that all the time. You know, if I could play guitar, I could make you feel this, but I can't. So in our business, we kind of look for an example of what maybe does this well. And there was one particular example that I drive just about everyone I talk to crazy about. And it's an example that Philips did, because they went from electric razors declining 19% a year, competing against blades that were spending 10 times the expenditure that Philips were. They changed one thing about their communication and their market share went through the roof. Old established brand, not a new brand, been around for years. No other change in their business. I want to show you this and then talk about what happened. So from rational product features to having sex in a shower with a robot. When was that ever the brief to the agency? Never, until the business nearly got written totally off the planet and taken out of the marketplace. So here's what happened. And in line with whether it's a song, whether it's an emotional, whether it's touching the chord of someone's intuitive self, someone's emotional self, when we do that with brands, we not only create that kind of market share, but we build the capitalization of the corporation, of the company. We do what marketing is designed to do, build shareholder value, not get sales this quarter, not get sales this month. Ideally, you'll be achieving that as well, but in a different context. So, another black little secret is 70 to 80% of all advertising does not get correctly brand associated. How could that be? This was a quote given to me from one of two key marketing CEOs worldwide that I've met with in the last 3 weeks. Those two people control $5.5 billion worth of advertising only expenditure themselves. And they gave me this number, not my number. So with so much bad work out there, one would have to think that possibly chasing short-term results is not only not working for the corporation, but is possibly not even working for the work that's being done. So, 3 messages I want to leave you with. Financial metrics, how companies are valued, need to be better connected with marketing metrics and better understood to be able to bring both of those things together. CEOs need that engagement. It's only going to happen through a CEO that this is achieved. So marketing needs to get their CEOs engaged in a dialogue and process, because it's not about the intuitive understanding of an advertising person or a marketer that achieves the difference. It's via the engagement of the team who are jointly accountable for the results. It's taking that 90% of the time to think through the problem that will really give a result that is sex in a shower instead of close shave and feature driven work. And emotional work does work, but is very scary to approve. So in closing, I thought, it's easy to say this, but surely someone's actually done it. Who could I say is leading the way? And I thought of the obvious example would be going to the highest capitalized company in the world, which the week before last was Apple Corporation. Steve Jobs himself is attributed to anything up to 25% of the market capitalization of the company, because he understands branding. He understands building emotional connectivity. And I thought, rather than talking too much more about that, the best thing I could do is show you how that translates to a consumer perspective.
Welcome to Phone Mart. How may I help you?
iPhone 4. Where is the iPhone 4? I need an iPhone 4.
Oh, I'm very sorry, but we are currently sold out. However, we did finally get some more HTC Evos in.
What? What is that? Is it an iPhone?
No, it is that 4G phone on Sprint.
If it's not an iPhone, why would I want it?
Well, it's similar to an iPhone, but has a bigger screen.
I don't care.
The internet speeds are around 3 times faster.
I don't care.
It has a higher resolution camera on both the front and the back.
I don't care.
And it doesn't require you to be on Wi-Fi to use video chat.
I don't care.
Its battery is replaceable, as is the memory card.
I don't care.
It is highly customizable, everything from the widgets to the icons, the fonts, and even has video wallpaper.
I don't care.
The monthly bill is cheaper.
I don't care.
It fucking prints money.
I don't care.
It can grant up to 3 wishes, even if one of those wishes is for an iPhone.
I don't care.
Thank you. I do care, and it was a delight to be able to share that with you today. Thank you.